Okay, we'll officially start the redistricting committee meeting here for 9 o'clock at November 22nd, 2021. And I guess before you have a couple options. Karen came up with our auditor on that, and I guess we'll go into you want to do some discussion on that, or?
Yes. So obviously we had a huge population influx. We increased overall Stark County population by 39%, which the majority was in the city of Dickinson. So when was creating these maps, obviously some things to keep in mind because we can change stuff if you guys don't like certain things from one of the options. The only thing is that, for example, this, like the more rural side, if you look at your overall county map for like option 1 and option 2, not just the zoomed in one. One of the issues I was having is that, one of the issues that I was having is there just isn't any population there is population, but there isn't much in those rural sides. And so, whereas one city block, because I did it by blocks, was worth like 500 to even 1,000 people in Dickinson, this whole right side of the map might be 1,000 people. So the number difference, I got it down. Normally it's, you can have up to a 10% difference in your numbers of population between the variation between the commissioners. My average was like 3.2. And so that's just something to consider if you're considering moving a line or anything like that. Some of those blocks in Dickinson are just worth a lot of people, and you have to consider that.
Probably should have did something first before the ring. I think we should probably introduce everybody's on this committee. That's Myron, I guess you will start with you and just say you're right. We don't have township, so you were appointed by the county commission, right? You want to just state your name.
I applied for to be on the board, and the applications there were, but I was accepted somehow.
Okay, you just state your name for the record then.
Myron Shank.
Okay.
Myron, you'll have to turn your microphone on. Is it on?
The button.
There you go.
And Myron Shank.
Okay, and then Amanda.
Amanda Engelstad, Stark County State's Attorney.
Okay. Where's Susie?
Mark Erdwin, I'm sorry. Mark Erdwin Gladstone, City Commissioner.
Susie Sobolik, Dickinson City Commissioner.
You want to state
Karen Richard, Stark County Auditor.
And Dean Franchi, Chairman of Stark County Commission. Okay, now you go. Sorry about that. Should have did that right away.
Well, that was kind of where I was going with that. Does anybody have like any immediate questions that are sticking out?
Yes, I was looking about this over the weekend, but on option 1, I think that District 1 and 2, they flipped them around because District 2, Commissioner Sanders said he's not running, and Bernie Marsh is in that district, so then that would avoid him from having to, because he just got elected a year ago and then have to run again.
That was going to be one of my questions on these two maps. Starting, I guess, with option 1, if that displaces the way it is right now, if that would displace any of the current elected commissioners.
Yeah, because on that, and I got option 2, in District 2, or in the District 2, it puts 3 of us all in the same district.
Okay.
I know when Karen did this up, she had no idea where any of us lived, so I guess that was. Anybody have any other questions or discussion on it?
I will say for the numbers, that would be an easy fix if we just need to change a district number. It's when we're actually adding or subtracting land or population that is trickier.
Yeah, that-
Switching around district numbers is not a problem.
Yeah, because they're 1, 3, and 5 were just up for re-election the last time, so if you kept that way it would be.
Bernie doesn't want to run again?
I'm
kidding. Yeah.
Now, Amanda, I interpreted the century code as if you have two active, like on the their off running years, commissioners that wind up in the same district, then they have to run again because they are both in the same district.
I believe that's correct.
But if you have an active commissioner that doesn't have somebody in that district, they finish out their term without having to run again. Is that the way you read it as well?
So that would, yeah, let's see. So following the redistricting pursuant to this, the Board of County Commissioners may combine, that's not right. Yeah, it essentially says that in the event that 2 or more commission districts are combined, the number of commissioners elected who must reside in the combined district is equal to the number of districts combined. So I think that that is correct, what you had explained.
Okay, because for example, and I know that we do this by population, which is what I did. Here's one example that I guess there was questions about is if Dean, for example, winds up in option 2, if you guys like option 2 better, he winds up in District 2, and he's currently, and that's where, Ken doesn't plan on running again. Does Dean have to rerun, or can he represent that district?
By this, Bernie will also be in that district, all
Right.
3 of us would be in that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So that's the problem.
Then they would both have to run. Yep, that's how I read it too.
Anybody have any issues with the boundaries at all in any of these options?
So obviously, option 1 is most similar to what we currently have. Option 2 is a lot different, and there's ups and downs to option 2 as far as rural representation, because you could be rural and you run in some of these districts that were only in option 1. But then you're also, you are taking a chance that all 5 commissioners that run or are in option 2 wind up being from Dickinson. But you could also wind up with 4 rural commissioners with option 2.
So in option 1, between the city and, with the population being in the city, a lot in the city and less in the county or in the rural areas, it kind of sets it up that way that 3 of the commissioners mainly come from the city and 2 come from the county.
Correct.
Or, well, everyone's in the county, but from the
2
rural areas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So then in that sense, in option 1, it seems like, but in option 2, you could have it that way, but in option 1, it seems like where the population density is where more of your commissioners will come from. And, I don't know, that seems sensical in my mind.
Yeah, and I will say, if you look at option 1, the more up close one, like you said, you would have a more rural commissioner up to 2, but if you look at where District 5 is right now, you're including a lot of northern Dickinson, because our largest increase in population was in northern Dickinson.
Sure, that's that like district north of Walmart up there.
That's those, actually over here is where those, if you see where the blue and then there's a little bit of purple cut out where it says Mike and stuff, that's
Oh,
where those,
That's even north of like Century Apartments up there.
yep, that's exactly where that's at. And that would be like those housing, and then farther north, you're looking at those apartment complexes that are up there.
Like Prairie Rose School would be up in District 5.
Yes.
Can commissioners have multiple residents, like rural and in the town?
It has to be your primary residence, is from where you're, that shows where you're eligible to run at.
Any other questions or comments?
I guess my opinion, without hearing from the public yet, which is scheduled here shortly, would be option number one, and as Dean suggested, perhaps flipping District 1 and District 2. I think that probably makes it the most sense and makes the least amount of disruption for elections and commissioners and Stark County. And, I mean, a lot of these commissioners just were voted in and are just, I shouldn't say a lot, but two of them were and are pretty diligently getting up to speed, and then to have to try to rerun, I think sets not only them back, but the county back.
We cannot hear you, any of you.
Okay, I think we have her mic adjusted now.
Yeah, I agree too. I think District 1's the better option for me, just the flip-flopping District 1 and 2 around in the numbers.
So with option 1, there is no displacing of current commissioners.
Not if we flip the District 1 and 2 around, right?
Okay.
And I want to make clear, my reason is not just so it's
Sure.
inconvenient for the commissioners. I think that, you know, the Stark County has seen who they voted in. They have access at this point to their commissioners. I think that at least the commissioners I talk to get a lot of feedback from their constituents. And I think it's tough in the middle of a term for commissioners who are working with those constituents and know the you know, good and the benefits and the downfalls maybe of their certain of their area to then have to reshuffle. So
And then in District 2, Commissioner Zanders already had said he is not rerunning, so he's in District 2 now, so that wouldn't affect, because he said he's not running, so.
right. So
we
that's going to
have-
be vacant no matter what.
Okay. And county commissioners are elected in November. They run in a primary in June, so that'll be this June that there'll be a primary for
For 2 of them, right?
for 2. Okay.
Yep, district, Carla Arthad's district is up for reelection, and then Ken's.
Okay. Thank you.
It would have been District 4 and District 2 are up, but if we flip them around, it'll be District 1 and 4.
District 4. On option 1.
When I looked at this over the weekend, I thought option 1 really looked like a sound option. Did a nice job on this, by the way.
Thank you. Our redistricting software was very helpful.
Yeah, that's what
I would
heard.
not enjoy doing it by hand.
If there's any other discussion, I suppose then we'll have the public hearing that's scheduled for 10 o'clock.
Is there any lines that you guys think need to be moved if you're leaning towards option 1? Like, as far as, I mean, I can definitely try to move them. You know, like I said, the only thing is if you take away from one, you have to add back to it. I can, I can definitely move lines and try to get it more in what you're thinking. I just, these are options. And so,
And it seems good that you have it within that 3.2% variation. Like you were saying, the century code allows up to 10. I mean, is there any reason we don't want them to be equal? I feel like having them be within that closer margin is better.
well, so when they made it, they used to have to do these all by hand.
Okay.
And so I think that's a lot where the 10% came from, because it was so hard, especially in the little sections in Dickinson. But now, as I was building the map, and I would add because I would do it by blocks, right?
Sure.
And as I would add to the blocks, it would tell me how many people that added. Or, because we wanted them all to be as even as possible. So you try to get as close to that number as possible. And so I think it was just a lot easier because I wasn't doing it by hand.
Sure. Sure. So with the software, it's easier to be in that 3% range, whereas if you would have had to readjust by hand, it could have been.
It would have been
10%
really
maybe is
messy.
as
You
close
probably
as
would
you
have only
could
had
get.
one map option.
I don't know if you noticed too, Martin Gladstone, you'll have to actually have reputation from 2 commissioners there, because the northern part's in 5 and the rest is in the.
Right.
We cannot hear that gentleman who's talking.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes.
Thank you.
So on option 1, so I tried to follow the, obviously, roads a little bit as best I could. So if you look at option 2, the kind of the divider is the interstate.
Interstate,
Yep. And then on option 1, the divider is kind of right there, highway, the Highway 22, where I could use it as a divider.
Any other comments or questions or?
Then reconvene at 10 for the public hearing.
Yeah, that, are we gonna just recess till the public hearing at 10?
And everybody can look. And these are your copies, so you can definitely
Yep,
take them
okay.
with you.
Yeah, we'll just recess now. You can review more of these maps here, then we'll have the public hearing at 10 o'clock then. So recess right for now then.